So I was slightly inspired to attempt a dramatic reading. Bear with me. You could probably put this on like a 2x speed if you prefer. This one's all my essays. You just Google them. Anthony Repetto, Google, you'll find me. I am a werewolf. Chain me. And it's ethics from someone who admits their own faults is an important concept. Imagine the scenario. I was walking in the woods outside town, gathering tinder. It was a little late into the evening, my lantern barely revealing the roots at my feet, and I wanted to get home quickly. I wasn't paying enough attention. So I didn't notice the scruffling and shiver from a bush nearby until a werewolf leapt out to attack me. I screamed and threw my lantern at it. Thankfully, the oil spilled and ignited that beast's fur in a yowl of pain. I was able to flee. Yet in that first lunge, it had scratched me. I am now a werewolf. I returned to town shaken, warning everyone. Werewolf! In the woods to the east, not far. Stay together, bring weapons. They ask, did it hurt you? I immediately hang my head in shame and nod. Yes, here on my arm. A scratch. I am a werewolf now. You must chain me before the moon rises again tomorrow. The town is solemn and diligent. I am working alongside them, despite my wound, to lay those bricks and chains in a double-thick wall in the center of town. By the next evening, we are all gathered again as I put forward my own wrists and ankles to be shackled, apologizing to my people. That night, as the full moon rose, I transformed. I thrashed as the venom enervated me, crooning mournfully. And while I stood chained, you were wandering the village. You had been scratched the day before by the same monster. You hid the scratch because you valued your own image of yourself more than your neighbor's safety. You did not warn us all of the werewolf because you knew that we would inspect you for injuries and discover your secret. I was infected by that curse because you hoped to get away with your own. You had been breaking down the doors of houses, mauling fleeing children and their fathers as they rushed to defense. 8 townsfolk died that night before torches were lit and gathered to frighten the abomination back into the woods. You slunk home that morning in tatters, hoping to keep your evil a secret. I, still chained to the plaza, smelled you and alerted the others. You'd been caught, werewolf. What does the evil person say to protect their evil so that they may continue to do it like they wanted? But I can't stop myself from being evil, so you have to let me do it. Only evil makes such an evil excuse. If you cannot stop yourself from being evil, then society must stop you. We do not let serial killers run rampant simply because they have no self-control. And the second defense of evil arrives fast. But I've always been so nice and polite, and so many people like me. Yes, that's true. And you killed 8 people because you kept your lycanthropy a secret from us. That is evil. So you are polite and evil. That is usually what happens. The most evil people are deliciously polite, making sure that everyone likes them. Only evil thinks that the harm I caused has vanished once I find an excuse to do it. No, the harm still exists, regardless of any excuse. Polite doesn't make harm go away. And a good person admits to that harm, admitting fault. They listen and empathize with their victims. They mend the damage as much as can be done, and they show contrition, especially when they become a werewolf. We see the same situation in real-world scenarios. The guy who gets drunk and then becomes belligerent and violent. He tries to excuse his harm, trying to make it okay to be evil. No accountability, no amends, by claiming that I had no self-control. So it's not my fault when I do harm. It doesn't matter if he had self-control or not. He still did harm. He must admit fault and amend. And if he admits to having no self-control, unable to stop himself from causing harm, then he is a werewolf. He must submit humbly to being chained, as I was. I was chained. 8 years ago, I was running in the streets naked, babbling incoherently. It wasn't fun for me either. I'm glad to take my medication, because paranoid panic attacks and mania are no picnic for the person experiencing them. And when that van arrived to grab me, that was the right thing to do. I would have been a demon to claim, no, I can't stop myself from having a manic episode, so y'all have to let me do it. That's an evil excuse. When I'm a werewolf, I must be chained. And I'm glad that society does so. If you make that evil excuse, I can't stop myself from being evil, so you have to let me do it, then it does not matter how big or small the evil is. You are using an excuse for evil, which is something that only evil people do. You prove your rotten heart. And it does not matter how much you diminish the negative impact on others, the excuse is what proves your soul. When I cause harm, I'm the only one who can be responsible for admitting my own fault, listening and empathizing, and mending the harm I caused. No excuse ever changed that. So look at where you say, but I'm trying to get away with abusive behavior that's so small that it doesn't really matter. It's fine if I can't stop myself from being abusive because I only do little evils. When you're on your cycle, only evil makes such an excuse. A good person admits to the harm they did, listens, empathizing, and cleans up their messes. No excuses.